Nieto with In and Out Smart Repair. I have a lot of background in the telecom industry with AT&T, and so in terms of just something interesting that people don't know about me, I do alligator hunting. Wow. So it's a pretty interesting fun fact, you know. But I started in this industry about 8 months ago. A buddy of mine, John Mikes, founded the company about 3.5 years ago, started franchising 18 months ago, and called me up, was like, man, this thing's blowing up, I need you. Left AT&T, came on board, so we have 55 stores open today. We have another 60 signed up that we're putting on, so exciting stuff. Very, very exciting industry, and definitely a new challenge, and every single day you're learning new things. So I've figured out that I don't have it figured out, and just trying to learn every single day. But it's an exciting ride, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, my name's Dave Takushi. I'm with eTech Training. I've been in the technology industry for about 20 years. The last 13 years I've spent in wireless. 12 of those years I've owned and operated wireless stores, with repair being a portion of that. The last few years, repair was our biggest piece of our business. I can remember when there were no other stores in St. Louis really doing cell phone repair. There weren't competitors. There was just mail-in shops that were there. So I've been through a lot of struggles in trying to figure out good suppliers, inventory, how to train personnel, because there was no training for cell phone repair at that point in time. We were one of the top shops in St. Louis. I sold my stores about a year ago, and I joined eTech just January of this year. Something I guess people don't know is I have my pilot's license. I didn't fly us here today, but or yesterday, but it's been a while since I've flown, but I do have my pilot's license, so that's awesome.
All right, great. Well, my name is Pedro Ferrer, and I come from mostly service industry, ran and managed car washes, and then just became an entrepreneur, construction, built houses as a builder, real estate, love service, love dealing with people, love management. I was always looking for the perfect business that didn't have a whole bunch of inventory that could go stale, didn't have a ton of employees to have to babysit, and I'm a techie guy. I'm somebody that loves taking things apart and putting it together, like most of you guys here are, and where you guys mostly came from, it just was something natural when it clicked in my head. You know, there's a demand for this. My daughters would break their iPads, their LG Envies, all the glide phones would put in their back pocket and break, and what do? Throw it away and buy another one? No, I said, bought the parts, fixed it, and I said, hey. So I went and opened up my small shop when real estate went down. It was perfect timing for me to come up with this, and it's been just every week is better than last week, every month is better than last month, every year is better than last year, and it's just been incredible.
Mm-hmm. This is an infectious dude. Come on.
Yeah. Preach it, man.
Yeah. Anyways, awesome. Hey, man, you're good. Sorry, I'll take a second. I'm Casey Kelly. I started IQ Repair. Some of you, we'll start with things you might know. I love Jesus. Yeah, it's on my throat. I would love talking about it. If you hate him, that's okay. I love you too. That's okay. I changed my life 8 years ago, and that's where I'm going to start. Okay. 2, IQ was founded partially because of that. It's a ministry opportunity for me, as well as I get to love people. Again, I'm going to just beat that drum. I'm an imperfect man, but I get to hire a lot of convicts, people who most people wouldn't give a chance to. You know, we've connected a lot on that. Part of our why is helping people. And again, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I don't care which walk of life you come from. We all got problems. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm a tattooed, weird-looking guy. I live in Utah. I'm not LDS. Most would ask that. I'm a Christian, and that's what I said already. Okay. What you don't know is I have vitiligo. It's a skin pigmentation thing where it turns my eyelashes white. So if you think I bleached it, I'm not that crazy. I know the hair probably sets me off, but I do have white eyelashes. And no, I didn't get tattooed to cover that up either, like my mom thinks. But no, I started IQ Repair about 5 years ago. We got 5 stores in Utah. At one point we had 9. I scaled back a couple years ago, learned some hard lessons we're going to talk about today, and we're ready to explode again. We've got a lot of cool things. As Michelle put it in the bio, I had a silly claim to That's what it is. Claim to fame. Being on the West Texas Investors Club is a TV show on CNBC. Comes on right after Shark Tank. They've got the second season coming. I get to kind of do some fun stuff on, but we talked about a lot of fun things to, compete with iCrack, which I already told them, look, guys, these guys are crazy. I know you guys are killing it. Here's some cool stuff we want to do together. So let's just get that out of the way if you're all thinking I'm their frenemy enemy. It's good. So, but I'm here to kind of give some input if we can. I'll shut up now.
Awesome. So I'll ask some questions, but then also we have 2 mics in the audience, so definitely jump in as we run through the topics. So the first topic is around inventory management. So one of the most important aspects of any retail operation is projecting demand. Planning inventory and return on inventory can make or break your bottom line. How do you successfully manage your inventory?
Okay, well, not because he's sitting right here, but I tell everybody, and I've done this before, where if it's not because they're here, I mean it. But my next step, the thing that changed the game for me was a industry-specific POS system. When you could look at reports, when you could see a report that shows you, hey, 5 C's are taking over 4 S's, 6's are taking over 5 C's. It's time to change around where you're putting your money and having that there. I mean, we were talking about accessories. At one point I was like, oh, that's a cool looking case. That's a cool looking case. So you have all over the walls, something that else was talking about, is you have yellow, black, blue. You don't have, what we've done is we've scaled back and said, okay, OtterBox, LifeProof, UAG, just pick 4 or 5 of your put that money back into your parts where our bread and butter is. And my biggest struggle, even today, and we're still working on it and we're getting better, is managing the RMAs. That, I don't know if you guys can chime in on that, but who it came from, where it goes, and a lot of the vendors, thank God, it's all about, for me, it's been a lot about relationships you have with your vendors. With, again, another not plug, but with E-Tech, I don't have an issue. With other vendors, we have, if it passed 31 days, you're done, it's over, no RMA, and that was just money that went out the door. But you guys?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that what's important, whether you have a plug-in with a point of sale, whether you have a different VMI system, or whether you have somebody that's manually doing it, the bottom line is you have to know what product is moving. You have to know what SKUs are moving, how frequently they're moving, location specific. You got to look at trending so that you can plan and project. Obviously, you guys know our industry is a bit crazy when it comes to buying products, so it's that balance of you don't want to overstock and buy too much. You certainly can't buy too little and then jeopardize not having product in stock. So to me, it's understanding, truly knowing your business, what SKUs are moving, how many of those SKUs are moving, and being able to look at those patterns and trends so that you can effectively project. RMA, I think that just kind of maybe even a different note to that point is it's so important to, I know everybody's always trying to find the cheapest price points on product, and look, me too, I'm with you. But I think one thing that has to be factored in, the biggest impact, we have all sorts of operating procedures and stuff that we've put in place to improve the process of RMA, but the biggest fix is do business with vendors where you don't have RMA. And so vendors where, you're always going to have some level of it, but when you have vendors like E-Tech, who's one of our approved vendors, and reputable guys, not just trying to get the cheapest parts in the industry, you have to be able to factor that into your bottom line cost when you're buying product. And people just, for whatever reason, they're not thinking about that. You're buying cheap product, and you're going to have X amount of warranties you're having to do, and then the RMA process, typically for those cheaper vendors, they suck, and so you wind up not getting money on the back end. You're doing more labor and more replacements on the front end. That product is not as cheap as you think it is. So to me, it's about doing business with the right people. It's about knowing what products are moving and just knowing your business so that you can properly project and make sure you have operating procedures to where on X day and X day of every month, you're getting, if you have multi-units like what we're doing, is making sure that that's sent in, it's inspected by one person, one point of contact. And so that's how we manage it. Of course, there's probably, if we went around the room, I'm sure you guys have amazing ideas and different ways to accomplish the same things, but you have to know your business.
Yeah. I think, can I interject? You guys are doing a great job. Because I'm like, yeah, people and parts are the most expensive thing in this industry. And the gentleman before, Samo, talked about the whack, right, essentially. And that's all I heard him saying is like, okay, what's the cost of capital? Because if you're going to compromise on quality of parts, and you're going to save $1 here, you're going to lose it in the 3 screens that went on and off out of the 10 for your tech. And I can tell you, I have the most rigorous technicians. They are techs by nature, and they'll just smack me, right? And they'll be like, why'd you buy these parts? Why don't you buy better parts? And I'd go, man, that would save me so much headache if I just bought the right part. But then we started analyzing that cost of capital, and it was like, holy cow, if we buy that screen that's $12 less, we lose $22 in labor because of the time it takes on that Mini that we all hate and have to get the right parts. We all know, okay, get OEM Minis, okay, do it. You don't get copies, you're in trouble, okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna plug it. Lots of things. I would say that, cost of capital. I think inventory management that you guys are saying, to the simplest form, is that you gotta have predictable times in which you count the inventory, in which you reconcile your point of sale, whether that's Repair Q or IQ Metrics or Repair Shopper or 12 others that exist, and industry specific. Yes, I'm on board with that. We have some we've hybrided around in our business model, but again, we're very entrepreneurial by nature, so we build Google spreadsheets that export the silly data out of, I have Lightspeed today, so that no one smacked me.
Me
okay?
too.
I have Lightspeed, and it's there online, but I have to export it, put it into a really robust sheet that only my brain kind of understands sometimes, and then it will tell me my average usage, right? Now, a lot of companies have reorder points. And Repair Key is like, yeah, we built that in there. Like, you could put reorder points in there, but sometimes they don't tell you if it's correct or not. But good data in, good data out, bad crap in, right? Crap out. And so I think people and parts, managing them well, but then from the inventory standpoint, it's super important with your vendor relationships, what point over there, and the quality point of sale where you can track it. That's
On the inventory side, I also think it's important to think about what stock level you're going to have. Are you going to maintain 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? And then how often you're going to order. There were times when we were growing our business and it seemed like we were ordering every day because of improper planning, growth that was happening. What we eventually got to was we tried to standardize on keeping kind of a 2 to 3 week stock level for everything we used regularly. Anything we might repair in the course of a month, we wanted to make sure we also stocked. And then we would try to reorder every week on a weekly basis, and we had a day set aside when we'd go through, we'd check our stock levels and everything, make sure our reports in our system were right, and then we'd do our orders, and that just streamlined so we didn't spend too much time ordering on a daily basis or every couple of days, and then we'd have special orders where we'd order them on Wednesdays and Fridays maybe, so every couple of days we were doing special orders, but otherwise you've got too much time that's spent in trying to manage your inventory and ordering on a regular basis. So I think that's another point I'd bring up.
You hit a big point too, is, and I see this with a lot of our franchisees and trying to help educate and help them create obviously systems to where they're ordering enough product to replenish week to 2 week out. Because if you add up all of your shipping expenses from these, when you're having to constantly make orders on a daily basis, unbelievable. I went through our Lake Charles store, and they are spending $1,200 a month just in excess shipping charges. I mean, if you would just plan and project the right way, you can completely eliminate that $1,200 from your bottom line every single month. So I totally agree. I think you have to project to where you're not having to get caught with your pants down on such a regular basis because you're not placing the right amount of order up front.
yeah.
Are there any questions from the audience relative to inventory management?
When do you decide for a product to go end of life? So you've got iPhone 6, 6 Plus, all the way down to the 4 series. I mean, when do you decide that it's time for it to discontinue a product? Is there a certain sell-through rate, or what is the place?
It's a great question. So for me, once we get, first of all, if they're, again, studying and knowing what's moving, what repairs you're performing, what SKUs are moving, help you kind of indicate how much stock you should be keeping on hand. But in terms of whether it's accessories or screens, I would say after, if you're not If there isn't a demand, then you stop keeping the supply. And that's the best way that I can maybe answer that question. I don't know if I have necessarily an exact time frame of like days on hand of here's the cutoff time. I'd say when the demand ceases, you need to stop supplying. And the supply that you have, you need to just liquidate it, get rid of it as fast as you can.
I think this brings up the point of kind of what I was hitting, like with your point of sales and working with that, and as point of sales develop, right? Because everybody's just trying to make it better for our industry. Even IQ Metrics crossing over to develop platforms, guys who are industry specific. One breath, whew, it's good. But the reality is that today there's not the perfect algorithm, unfortunately. But if you know your numbers and you're monitoring them daily and what you sell and what it looks like, then you'll know what's going to liquidate. You'll know what needs to go out. The thing that always catches us with our pants down, proverbially, is accessories sometimes. It's like, how do we run out of tempered glass again? We should have 10,000 of those.
Yes.
They cost nothing. What's wrong? And some of those other things. But having a good system integrated will help you with that. But the end of life is tough, but we also could look at the cycles. Right now, especially with like Apple products, we all have been in it a couple years. You can start to see, oh wait, 7 months, 6 months, 8 months, this has been launched. Oh, everybody needs repairs the next day. I don't know how the 5SE already needs repairs. Good thing the parts kind of work. What?
Yeah.
All right. There's other parts that we can integrate in. Hey, a little plug there, do some research. Some of those are crossover, you could use them. But those type of things for end of life.
And another thing too, to that note is, and I don't know where Ryan is with WSCOM, he might hate me for saying this, but if any type of relations that you have with your accessory vendors specifically, work on working out deals where you have like stock balancing, right? To where like part of the, I figured you wouldn't like it.
Don't give them terms.
Yeah, so make sure you stock balancing. And so whether it's, whatever the term is, for us, what that does is gives you the peace of mind to be aggressive and you're not afraid to order too much of any specific product because you have that peace of mind that after whatever it is, I'm just throwing a number, 60, 90-day stock balance, you can send that product back for full credit. So it's a great value additive to how you're doing business with your vendors.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else on inventory?
So you're talking about having a good system. What system are you all using? What system are you all using for your inventory management and control? And what would you suggest for a 5-store type partner?
So I'll start off and I'll say that we were using a vendor managed inventory system that was a software program with an iPad that we had in every single location. So every time that a product moved, you would manually kind of move that product. And so has like an algorithm to where it's studying your trends, what you're moving, and auto replenishes automatically to your store. They have some point of sale systems that have relations with certain vendors that you can do the same thing. Today, what we're doing until that VMI system that I just explained, it had room for human error, which means you have to physically click the button to show that I just sold this screen. So as a result, sometimes people get busy, they forget, and then you had discrepancies and reconciliation is crazy. And then, in my opinion, until there's a vendor-managed system that is going to meet my satisfaction, I have an operations inventory manager that handles all of our inventory management. So it's one point of contact that sets thresholds for every single store based off of what product they're moving and how fast they're moving it. And then they're also handling the RMA process to make sure that the stores are sending it in on the 1st and the 15th of every month, that we have compliance. There's a sign-off sheet. You have to double check to make sure we have double validation for every store. So there's just an operation process, and I have one person that's kind of my one point of contact today. But my end game is that, in my personal opinion, it's a little inefficient. The perfect world is that we come up or have a vendor-managed system that is going to be foolproof, solid, and integration with multiple point-of-sale platforms.
In my stores, we had a proprietary point-of-sale system for most of the time I had my wireless stores, and then the last couple years I finally bit the bullet in order to get a different point-of-sale system that was catered towards repair. We used Repair Q in my stores that I had.
Me too. Repair Q's, I researched, there's a bunch of them out there. I went with Repair Q because they are industry specific, and they, my number one vendor, which is E-Tech now, is not currently working together with them, but hopefully
Dang.
soon they'll get that figured out. But
Note taken, all right.
No hints today.
sorry, but it does everything across the board for me. It does the employee management. It does my accessories, repairs. Gives me all kinds of reports. It's been huge. It's been a big part of our success and being able to grow as fast as we have.
You guys keep saying repair queue. You mean IQ repair, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. This guy's getting so much money. I'm just kidding. No, it's good. I totally agree with it. You know, to answer your question just more directly, sorry, over there. There's Lightspeed, there's Repair Queue. I've said like 5 of them. Repair Shopper, IQ Metrics, a lot of them. He is right, Tom, in saying it's got to come together. There's got to be a couple more systems to tighten. Otherwise, we have to keep going proprietary and building systems that are expensive. And I can tell you, I have looked at how much they cost. They're tens of thousands of dollars to build them the way that we want it to. But there's a model for some of you guys out there who do point of sales, because just build it once and then replicate it, right? Make money. It's not my business model. I just need it to run. But I'm just giving you stuff. But there's a lot out there. 5 stores, multi-stores are great. Most cloud platforms are amazing. I would probably personally not go with stores that you have to hook up via server and have to cloud into and the rest. I would go with like a cloud-based point of sale system. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, with talking about inventory, one of the challenges obviously is you have the stuff like Apple, Samsung that you can keep in stock, but there's a large majority of devices that you may see once or twice a month.
Yeah.
How do you guys handle ordering those, keeping those in stock, deciding to repair those devices? Do you have like some limitations that you set up to where you just have a cutoff, or you just do anything you can?
So
Go ahead, Joe. I gotta shut up. I talk too much.
we had a high-tech system where we used an Excel spreadsheet to track customer requests and when we were starting to get demand for different things. And then if it was something that we would see at least once a month, it was something we tried to stock. And we would make sure that we had in stock, 'cause if we could provide that customer with the immediate availability, so when they walked into the store, they could get the repair done, there was a lot higher likelihood that we would close that repair and gain that revenue, and it's a better customer experience across the board. It always depended too on how new a device was and how stable we saw the pricing of the parts being. If we thought it was a pretty new device and based on similar models, the price might drop in the very near future, then it wasn't something we'd stock. We might special order from that standpoint. But there's a little bit of just kind of knowing your business and getting a feel for it after time, and then also just tracking and having good data on knowing how often you're seeing certain repairs and how often customers are requesting different repairs too.
There's a term referred to as R&D, right? Research and no, it's rip off and duplicate. Okay. So what I'm saying is, a lot of guys have figured it out, right? And I keep talking sideways. Sorry. A lot of guys have figured it out. For example, the iCrack gentleman over there. He mentioned that there's 33 popular devices they carry and take care of. You got that little nugget? What are those 33? And why would they do them? Why would they not do them, right? So, I mean that humbly, but you can really learn a lot from watching kind of this industry and coming together. Once you start to understand what the common devices are, you start to learn maybe you don't offer them and you should be, or that should be a part of your brand. We didn't do Samsung. I mean, obviously I have a weird Apple looking thing in our logo. Most people thought we were like Apple guys, which we were, and we were okay with that because we do hundreds of thousands of just Apple. But then we realized the guy down the street was getting all the fat left over, which were the Samsungs. And we started going, well, they're not that hard, and the parts I can totally get from China or America or any of these places. Why did we not do it? Now, there are brand questions, as we'll talk about, like lanes and brands, like who do you want to be and what do you want to offer? But alternatively, with them being so competitive and the same now, like an S7 and an iPhone 6S, they're kind of like the same phones in certain ways, but that wasn't always true. But today they are. I think it's important to identify those key things. It won't hurt you to probably carry a $100 screen to see if it'll move. I mean, like they're saying, get ahead of your inventory. I think some of the things they plugged earlier is you got to get a week or two ahead, and then the concern comes up. Like he asked, well, when do you liquidate? Because you bought too much. If you haven't built in kind of that hedge of protection, you're going to be in trouble anyways, I think.
Yeah, I think at the beginning for us, our model was to have every single part available. If somebody came in, we had it. If they went somewhere else, they didn't have it, and they had to order it, and then they called us, or they came in to us, we had it, then we got that customer right there and then. But I think R&D is a very important thing. Now as we're growing and we're dealing with other issues and stuff like that, some phones we don't want to do. Yeah. We just don't want to touch. They're headaches, so it's interesting once you get that first one. Senior tech gets it, takes it apart, and says, this is easy to teach and to duplicate, and or this is, you know what, blacklist.
Yeah.
You know, just put that one aside and put it on the board. We're not doing this one.
Yeah, it's a hard balance too, because everybody might have a different take on it. Sometimes you look at repairs, and some repairs, like it comes to the point where, is this really profitable? Does this make sense? But then at the same time, kind of my personal philosophy is, you know, I want to be a brand to where we have a reputation where we do everything. And so even if maybe I'm not making money on that deal, right? Or if I'm breaking even, or if not, you know, it's cost me probably in labor what it cost or what I collected, or even if I lost. To be honest with you, just to have the brand representation of we do everything and we don't turn anything away, just so I get that customer acquired so that I can gain their business in the future, and so that they can leave being genuinely willing to recommend to all their friends and family to come and, you know, visit our locations. So.
I've recently converted the company over to daily inventory scans. We haven't talked about employee shrink. What's an average, you know, store shrink?
You're talking about losses?
Employee shrink.
So I would say that varies very much based off of the volume of the location in terms of dollar shrinkage. In terms of percentage, you know, you're trying to make sure for us that you're under 2%. That's where you kind of, you know, that's the acceptable level is 2% and under. Anything over than that, for us, we have, you know, management system. We have an accountability system that we don't do it on a daily basis in terms of our reconciles and manual accounts. We do it weekly. But anything that is exceeding 2%, we're obviously diving into it. We're coaching with that, you know, that store manager, figuring out, you know, why is it, what happened, what was the gaps, what were the disconnects, finding ways that we can prevent it, learn from it, and do better in the future. And just kind of manage it case by case. If you have trends where you have a certain store that's constantly excessive shrinkage, then that's an indicator to you something is wrong, something's going on. And whether that's loss prevention, whether that's somebody's, you know, your location where somebody's stealing from you, you got to look at what do I have high-end accessories, where are they placed? Maybe should I consider securing those pegs, or, you know, moving product around, taking things away from the door, not making it as easy, or maybe it's just a carelessness on the store manager's part of not receiving inventory properly and following the right process. So I think it can be a number of different things, but to answer your question directly, in my opinion, 2% and under is the benchmark of where you'd want to be. I don't know what you guys...
Yeah, I don't have a number for that. I'd say the things that I always did to look at it for the most part was training the employees and keeping things organized. So they knew if it was a good part, it needs to be in the good parts bin that's labeled properly. If it's something they determined was defective, it goes in the RMA bin by vendor. They date it also, put their initials so we know who put it in there. If it was a part that they broke, that goes in another spot, so that there's no parts that are just laying around the desks at the end of the day, that, you know, there's a part out at each time, and as long as they keep everything organized well, then it helps us figure out where something is, or do we have a shrinkage issue that things are going missing along those lines, as opposed to people just putting it in the wrong spot. But you can then go through all those bins, count them up, and see how it is. And if you've got, you know, with Repair Queue too, I know we would mark something as damaged. You could mark it as, you know, different categories, so you could then pay attention and you'd know where it would be based on that.
That's smart.
And just to add on to that, you know, training employees, obviously good techs and bad techs are everything to your reputation. What do you do to hire, train, and retain good techs?
Yeah, probably the most, you know, in terms of retaining and training, so key, but obviously first priority is recruitment and hiring. To me, it's the most important decision that we make. We are super selective and have invested a lot into you know, having a filter system that's pulling from multiple sources of employees and making sure that we're hiring the right people, not only from a skill set perspective, but most importantly, from an attitude perspective. So you've got to hire, me and Pete were talking about Chick-fil-A, you know, world-renowned brand in terms of, you know, their unbelievable workforce and the culture that they have. And so to create that culture and that great customer experience, you're going to have people that can deliver on that experience. And in addition to all the training and all the practices that you teach them, you just have to hire, like the CEO and the owner of Chick-fil-A says, people that are happy and like people. And so that's kind of like the filter system, right? They don't have a great attitude. If they don't like people, if they're not happy, it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how skilled you are, you don't make the qualification. Now, at the same time, I know a lot of people say, well, they're just going to be a tech and they're just going to be in the back and it's no big deal. But we all know that the truth and the reality is even those technicians, they have to come out front sometimes when store coverage demands are there. And they are the brand facing representative of your image and of your brand. So to me, you have to hire based off of attitude, number one, and then all the skill sets come into play after that. Depends if you're looking to hire somebody too. I think you have a technician or everybody, my philosophy is everybody needs to know how to do everything. I do not come from a repair background, telecom background, but not repair. So I went through the training. It was kind of a mess. I was good at tearing everything down, and then I realized, oh crap, I have to put this back together. Not my strong suit. I'm more of a front-facing interpersonal type person, and so you have to make sure that for a sales manager, front of the house people, that you're hiring based off of what that's, that ideal skill set. They still need to understand how to do repair, but they need to be very strong with interpersonal people skills. Same thing for the back-end primary technician that you're hiring. But here's the reality is they all have to have fantastic attitudes, and if you don't have that, they don't make the cut regardless. Training, huge props to E-Tech, whether it's E-Tech or whoever. I would really encourage you to find a very legitimate training program curriculum that you can bring your people through, because once again, that is the branding and the image, especially when you're doing multi-units. It's so important that you have that consistency in terms of knowledge and qualification. So they're actually back at Hammond, Louisiana right now, training 10 of our new franchisees, and they have done a custom curriculum for us. So we've chosen to go with them. They have other guys out there. They do a fantastic job. Retaining the employees, to answer that, is creating an inspired and engaged workforce, making sure that everybody, when they show up to work, is because they want to be there, they're excited to be there, that they're a part of the vision, that they see the vision because it's being communicated, and they work in an environment that fosters like them being creative and playing a part into the company's direction and future. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but on all those three elements, that would be my vision and my approach to it.
Yeah.
Great.
It seems like it goes you, then me, and then these guys punch in and I come back. So a couple books I'm going to steal some stuff from, rip off and duplicate here. So we hire for talent and virtue, right? He talked about attitude, but also talent, right? If they're good people, again, I talked about how this is kind of a ministry opportunity for me. So for me, they may be bad people, and I'm trying to figure it out and help their lives. But I hire for talent. Do they have heart? Do they have character? Do they believe in the vision? Can they listen to me go crazy and not yawn and fall asleep? Which happens a lot, believe it or not, because I'll get going. But talent and virtue. So virtue, we don't struggle with that. We're pretty good at identifying virtue pretty quickly. I think we've been blessed with that in our leadership group, to be like, you seem like a decent person based on these things here, and you've had a hard time. Or you seem like you're going to rip us off based on X, Y, and Z. And then again, we're kind of unorthodox. We'll ask him, do you steal from people? What kind of question is that? Hey, this is just ethereal. This isn't an interview question. I'm just wondering, like, do you steal?
Do you steal?
And they're like, well, no, of course I don't steal. And it's funny how people react differently. I will ask questions like that personally. That's just me. It might be off-site too, so it doesn't seem as crazy. But then I would say for sure for talent, right? If they don't know how to do it, you need to get quality training through programs. In-house at IQ, again, we're kind of entrepreneurial by nature, so we try to kind of either do it or build it or buy it or grow it. And so we have qualified master technicians that we trust that'll get hands-on to train our technicians. Alternatively, we have an LMS, a learning management software, Canvas.instructure, free. You guys can build all your training within there. I'm not trying to deter anybody away or break any business models, but I'm saying that you can build your training. I think you guys, especially this guy, I can tell technically he knows how to fix pretty much anything. And so if he can spend a couple hours to put it together and then maybe some one-on-one side-by-side, I think we'll see success in that. We personally see people, we see in our company, in about 15 days we can train a technician to be where we believe they need to be to handle both 1, 2, and some tier 3. We're not perfect. Those are people coming off the street. But we usually hire for that skill set. I'm usually not hiring a technician to be a front of house, as we've referred to it. I'm hiring a tech to be a tech. And so we ask lots of technical questions and we stir them up and then we go, oh, you don't like that? Yeah, you're mad about that? Tell me how mad you're about it. And the guy's like, and I'm like, oh, you're such a tech. I love it. Like and it's going to be hard to deal with, but you're going to be that guy who wants everything perfect, right? And you guys know it. If you're business owners, you know the tech types, right? And then you see the manager types, and they're organized, and they want to achieve, and there's all these things there, and they could totally be entrepreneurs, but they're afraid, and so they won't jump over. Not all of them, but you're like, man, please be an entrepreneurial employee. So you can have, this is the second book I'm jacking from, Autonomy, Mastery, Purpose. Like he talked about. I'm going to trust you to run this store. This is your thing, but you have to be autonomous, but you need to master it, be great, and have a vision and purpose. And then you have the entrepreneur, and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this guy, because he's a shark, or he's a snake, or there's all these different animals, and so you put him over a training division or something, right? And let him run. I'm not pointing at you, Dave. But I think that there's a lot to learn in that, and retaining them long term is finding those three things. Like if you can identify, like you're autonomous, you can do what you want to do. At Best Buy, I know that is one of their cultures. They're like, hey, we have a results-only environment. Like show up and work hard or go home. Like at least that's how it was in all the books I read, right? But I haven't worked there. Autonomy, mastery. So do they want to be great at something? And if they don't, then you got the wrong person. Like if they just want to be an employee, we're the 300 in my company. We're like, raise your shields. You don't want to be here? Then go back to the farm and protect food. Like be what it is, and then purpose, right? Which hits that goes, who are you? You know, where do you fit? What part of the body metaphorically are you? Some guys are the armpits, and some guys are the biceps, right? So I didn't use the other words that could have came out of that. But shut up. You go ahead, man.
I hate going after you.
No, you should go.
So, what's worked for us?
What's worked for you?
We attract techs, of course, because we're taking apart cool gadgets and all that stuff, so it's usually IT guys. There's IT college close to us, and once you hire one, the kind of word spreads, and then they come out. But we look for people that have a passion for tech, that have a passion for gadgets. You know, it's kind of like us, to retain them, what we do, and train them and retain them. So we train them within, we train them, ourselves, because we're techs. And once they get to a certain level where we know that this is somebody that has a long life with us, that they're going to be with us, then we'll send them off to training with E-Tech. And
Smart.
I personally will sign up for every training there is. Every time there's a new school that comes out, I sign up for it, because I'll learn something. Even though I could teach that person something, I always learn something. I'm very open to, always talking to different people. You're going to pick something up, and it was well worth it, and you came away with something great. But and as far as retention, we designed and there's all different kinds of ways to do it, but an incentive program. I believe in incentivizing the employees, let them earn, they get good salary, but on top of that good salary, they also have incentives for different benchmarks that they have to hit, and numbers, and quality inspections and everything else. Attitude, that like you said, that's 99% of it. I think I was on the phone one time with somebody from E-Tech, and they were, I was talking to somebody, I put the phone down real quick, and I don't know if it was with Jake, but I think it was with Jen. Anyways, what was it? My receptionist came over and was talking about somebody came in to apply, and said, yeah, but they don't know anything about it. Says, what's the personality like? Are they happy, excited? What's the attitude? Bring them on. Says, don't send them away. Bring them back here. So I need to talk to them. If they have a great attitude, that's the number one thing. Everything else you could teach. Of course, you're looking for that somebody that has the right skill set with their hands. You can't just have somebody. Like I say about my brother, he can't change a light bulb. He's a lot smarter than me, but he can't change a light bulb. We can put him somewhere else. But that's what works for us.
That's awesome.
Great.
I learned a lot from you right there. I don't know why you say you go after me. And I'm like, I'm sales, you're tech. I'm like, oh, that's so smart. I got to talk to my techs better. I got to work on that. So.
Do we have any questions in the audience?
Can you talk more about pay scales for techs, part-time, full-time, salary?
Yeah.
Well, to start off, a couple of bucks over minimum wage, just so you're better, more attractive than the Chick-fil-A or whatever. And I'm talking about with the young guys. But once they start proving themselves, then you could start your increases. But the main thing is our incentive program. We have multiple techs, and it works for us. and I'll tell you our numbers, is once that tech hits $10,000 in repairs for that month, from that point on, they qualify. Now, that's not just somebody that comes in. They have to be already certified. They have to be somebody that could do, different levels of repair. But once that person reaches that, so the first incentive is that they want to get certified by us. And once they're certified by us, then now they're able to earn the cash incentives. After $10,000 in repairs, let's say they did $27,000 in repairs for the month. We look at the end of the month, repair queue hits a button, shows it right there. They get 2% extra. They get 2% on top of that. So that's an extra $550 that they just made for that month, just an extra check that they love that. It has been beautiful for us. That's been really good. And if each one is reaching to hit their quota, I mean, and it created other problems. They're going to try to sandbag this, device or try to cherry pick iPhone 5. I'll take that one, versus HTC. But yeah, then you have to have a tech in the back that's like a managing tech that is assigning the phones as they come in fairly. Also, you don't want them to hurry up through the repair to try to get another one and leave screws out and do stuff. Do spot inspections, open it up, you missed one screw, you didn't put that little thing back where it went, you lost your whole incentive for the whole month.
Good.
So those are things that it's just, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to sit, but you have to think about all these little things, but it's super easy for us to do because, And I don't know if it's us because we did it ourselves and we sat there and did to be able to come with us. But it works great.
Yeah. You're talking about alignment of incentives, right? It's all of us in general. Whether it's I know we're talking about techs, but I'm thinking I train managers, right? I train kings up front. That's how I'm wired, right? But from a technician standpoint, in my business, we'll give $1 per repair. So we try and subvert some of that. I'm saving. I won't do your iPads. I won't do your. And we have a manager up front that goes, do this, and put it in front of them. But they've gotten really good. I mean, some of you won't believe this, and some of you say it's bullcrap. But I have a girl that can do iPad minis in like 8 minutes perfectly, over and over and over again.
Our first girl tech starts when we get back. She's going to start on.
Girls are amazing, for the record. By the way, technically, they always start up front because you're like, people like them and they're diffused, and then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, they ought to be killing in the back because they like it and they're crafty. My wife sews more things than I've ever seen in my life, and I couldn't do it. But she's a slayer. She just kills it, and then it fires up the rest of the team and those things. But they see that based on, I have a good wage, right? Align the economics so you don't devalue. It's in a book called Drive. A book called Drive talks about behavioral economics, and it talks about if you don't align the base salary, you're already out of the game, because a starving man will steal his bread, as the Bible talks about, and you shouldn't shame him unless he gets caught, and they all do. But the reality is that you got to make sure that's good. So a couple dollars above minimum wage, I think is great. Every state's different. In Utah, our minimum wage is like $7. In California, I guess it's now 10 or something. I don't know, right? Different cities have different expectations. We always try and pay more than the enemies, if you will, in the area. But then we align that with commissions, right? Because if you overpay the base, people get fat and comfy, right? The pigs get slaughtered, or what is it? Hogs get slaughtered or something like that. Pigs live, I don't know. And there's some good economics in there, but that's it. I knew it was backwards, but something like that. But the idea is that you don't want them fat and lazy. You want them to work diligently. So I would say we do with $1 repair. I like his idea about a revenue dollar because it does align certain company economics. But if the company economics and the people economics are not aligned, you're in trouble anyways. And so that's what I'd say. If they're experienced, I'd pay them more. Usually. Sorry, keep it tough.
So for us, at least in my world, looking at a multi-unit strategy, we have quarterly goals that we set in terms of our bottom line that translates to revenue targets. Company-wide, we subdivide those revenue targets to territories, and based off of those territories, the DMs are assigned a certain revenue target per quarter that's broken up per month. And so then the DMs have, based off of a contribution logic that we have, they assign those revenue targets to their respective locations. So it's revenue based. The store manager at that level, we usually, and it's going to be different. It's going to differentiate based off of where what the cost of living is, where you are. But for us, base for a solid sales manager is $32,000 is where we start. We have a range there, and then we have a $500 at-risk program that's basically based off of your revenue target. Let's just pretend it was $35,000 right for the month. That's their revenue target. Based off of their percent attainment, of that actual revenue target. They can make up to the $500 at 100%. They can exceed that 100% as well. So if they do like 40,000, 45, I have multipliers that go into effect at 115%, 125%, and then 150% that up to double the at-risk that's available to them. So that kind of logic. Of course, we have some tracking and things to kind of keep that in front of everybody throughout the month. We also do lots of other, for a technician, I agree exactly with what they said, a few dollars over minimum wage. A extraordinary technician that can do like board level repairs, they can ball out, they're incredible. In my opinion, pay them whatever you need to pay them.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Forget the ranges and everything else. You can't afford not to have somebody like that on your team. But, you know, and generically speaking, a few dollars over minimum wage. And then spiff, you know, I believe, look, every initiative that you're focused on, we recycle, reuse, you know, we have a membership program. We have lifetime warranties that we're offering on different accessory categories. So everything that, all of our initiatives, there's a tie back. The remanufacturing, every remanufactured screen translates to $3 back to the technician, so it really incentivizes them to take care and focus on preserving, not just kind of, you know, blowing through that repair. So finding ways with all the initiatives that are important to you and growing your business and give them a vested interest in every category. And then the important thing is don't just throw all that out there. That's kind of like a lot of stuff, right? You got to keep that in front of them every day, every week, and it needs to be visual so that they can keep up with all of their incentives, and that keeps their front of mind to what's important to you, the company, and to their bottom line, their compensation.
What kind of tools do you give your managers, for all of you, to hit those numbers?
In terms of tools?
Like the ability to run promotions, change prices, incentivize their own managers and stuff like from the districts to the store managers and stuff like that. What kind of tools, what kind of leeway do you have for things in place to give them the ability to hit those numbers and go above and beyond, and not just rely on you doing marketing and stuff like that?
Definitely. So my personal belief in that deal, yes, we do promotions. We allow the store managers we have an innovation pipeline. They submit ideas. They can come up with their own local promotions. We look at all that stuff. 9 times out of 10, we approve it, or we'll tweak it, modify it, make sure it makes sense, and let them do it. So yeah, from that front. But to me, what's important is getting each store manager to operate as a business operator and an entrepreneur, and make sure that they have a strategy, a comprehensive strategy and game plan in place prior to that month ever starting. So it needs to account for local marketing strategies, it needs to account for how you're going to maximize revenue in your store, it needs to account for how you're going to create additional revenue opportunities, how to improve on your operations excellence category. So all the different components of the business, there needs to be a comprehensive strategy in place. And so that's an ongoing thing. It's not just a one-time deal, right? And so my DMs are working with my sales managers to make sure that it's a specific, measurable, relevant plan that's like time-bound, and it's action-oriented, behavior-based. Not just, oh, do this, do that. How are you going to do it? What is that going to look like? How does that translate to day-to-day behaviors and actions, right, that we would expect the store manager and or expect them to expect the employees to execute on? So to me, it's about making sure there's a plan in place, and then you're constantly reviewing that plan based off of what's working, what's not working. So constantly reassessing and learning from that game plan.
And my store managers were based on profitability, so they had to look at the short term and the long term and make sure they were taking those types of things into account. We would also have discussions about if they were looking at doing something, does it jeopardize our long term from that standpoint? On the employee side, I had the 2 stores, and there's a variety of ways you can compensate and pay employees. I was on a flat hourly basis is what we paid our techs. My main goal, my employees were the most important thing in my business. They helped make my job easier, make my day less stressful, and made my customers happier. So whatever I needed to do to try to keep them happy, I didn't ever try to pay top dollar. I didn't want somebody to come to work for me because they were going to make more than somebody else. I wanted them because they were going to be paid fair, and they were going to enjoy the job that they were doing, and they felt like it was a good work environment to work in. And those were the employees that would usually stick with me. Some new person came into town, paying a little bit more, They wouldn't just jump ship, or if they did need to make more money because of something going on in their life, changes or whatever, they would have a conversation with me a lot of times first, and we could see, is there something we can do? And so just having a good working relationship with those employees and getting them to understand it's about the business, and if I can do something for them that doesn't jeopardize and helps the long term of my business, then I'll look at doing that.
I think there's a common thread here about just connecting with your people, right? Like this, everything I hear these guys saying is like, if you're not talking to your techs because they're techs, if you're not tech by nature, right, or different things like that, if you're not talking to your techs, they're people. And at the end of the day, they want to make money and be aligned and be encouraged. And just like the sales managers, you guys are crossing what I hear, at least when you start talking about managers or sales managers or DMs, I'm like, okay, those are different types. They're same people, but they're people, but they're different types. And they're all wired differently, and they run differently. The thing that I was thinking was interesting here is caring about your people will show you what type they are, but if you're not identifying lanes and types, then you're probably going to be in trouble. I keep saying those types of things like, hey, you're going to be in trouble if you don't do these types of things. Because if you're putting a tech up front all the time and they don't want to be up front, you're going to lose your tech. And you may not think it's a big deal, but that is. If that person does not like interacting, you'll find out quick. One lady, we have probably 4 or 5 girls in my company, so back to that point, 4 or 5 girls, and I put all of them up front originally, and they interviewed well, and they communicated well, and then all 4 out of 5 are now technicians. And that was them communicating to me, I do not want to be up front anymore. Like, I'm sick of people, I'm sick of, we sell a lot, and that's our job, so I'm sick of having to convert and quotas and upsells and all those things. And so can I just go in the back? And they go in the back, and they were 10 times more efficient, they were fired up, and they were making not much money, and then I wanted to pay them more because they made us more, right? And so, anyways, care about your people. Plug.
Well, and just to segue into operational strategy, I think a lot of people in the room, most people in here have heard my spiel about how competition is good. Mm-hmm. And I want everyone to also consider that how you actually respond to competition is a reflection of your brand, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you guys approach your pricing strategy relative to competition?
Mm-hmm. Me, personally, I don't compete in price. I price my product according to our cost and the percentage where we need to be and what I want to price it at. And if somebody's $10, $15, $20 cheaper than me, we still beat them out because of our service, mm-hmm. because of our quality, because of our warranty, because of the whole experience. When they come to our shop, they are just smothered with just service, and that is, I think, more valuable than saving. Somebody saved $20, went with the other guy, broke his phone, came to us. Next thing, just crying about the other guy. They come, so now they tell everybody. It's all over Facebook, social media hits immediately, ratings, all that stuff. So it hasn't been an issue. I don't worry about that.
It's good. Great.
On pricing, we had a similar approach. We didn't just price based on our competition. We'd look at what are the costs of the parts, we'd mark them up, how difficult is the repair, how much time is it going to take, what's the level of risk with the repair. Is there a chance that something's going to get damaged and broken that's going to cause additional costs? If so, I need to take that into account. How often does that happen? We also try to pay attention to the competition so we know, are we in the ballpark or are we not? But the last thing we would do is try to compete based on price. We wanted to compete based on the overall value. We focused on quality, we focused on customer service, warranty, using good quality parts, and a great customer experience across the board. So, when price came up, we wanted to make sure we were in the ballpark. We didn't want to be way out there from that standpoint, but we didn't, if the competitor dropped their price by $5, I didn't want to drop my price by $5. I'd check them periodically. I didn't check them every day, but we just wanted to know if somebody was running a special, if our business is down, or what might be going on. So you definitely want to be aware of the marketplace, but I'll encourage you to, build a brand and, don't just look at price when you go to compete. There's so many other factors that come into play with the overall experience and the quality parts that are used, how long you're going to warranty it, and how does that warranty even work? Are you easy to deal with, or are you difficult to deal with? So there's a lot more that comes into play than just price when you're talking about that, dealing with competition.
Those guys that price themselves to be underneath everybody else are gone within 8 months, 10 months usually. So that's because of reputation, because of social media, because of the ratings. Jake's favorite thing to say is we're not out there to be the cheapest, we're out there to be the best.
Yeah.
And it works.
I think there are like 3 bubbles that intersect. Intersect. I don't know what it's called when you have the bubbles that overlay. Someone's thinking, yep, that's
Venn
what it's called.
diagram.
Perfect.
Venn
Okay,
diagram.
Venn diagram. Price, value, service, right? When you look at those 3 things, we're not always going to be able to get all 3. I mean, our goal, 2, you have great pricing, great value, and great service. Well, a lot of times they don't really overlap in experience. And the closer we can get, the better we can become. The better become best. Yep, we can become the best. And so we try to focus on fixing prices, right? And we're usually higher. When we came into the market, we were the guys who proverbially pissed in the pool. I don't have to say it any other way. I was less expensive than everybody. And we came in and a lot of stores closed and we grew really fast. But I learned some hard lessons about the economics of the business when I needed to buy more expensive parts. And it was 70% cost of goods when it shouldn't have been, right? And all these things. And I'm like, oh, what's our model? Which it pivoted us into sales. And we learned those hard lessons. But that's just what happens. You go to battle, you learn how to survive. And we did in those first couple years. And we almost died at 7 stores and being under everybody. So I'm one of those guys who lived through it, got wisdom from smart older men and women that said, stop, change here. But then we became kind of the most expensive in the market, right? And people argue about that. And as you know, there are different prices for parts. I can look around the room, E-Tech and Mobile Defenders and Revamp, and they're all here. And there's a couple others I know that are selling STS. I think you guys in the back, right? Is that how you say it? STS parts? Okay, there's lots of parts company. They're all competing on price, quality, and service. It's all the same thing. And some of you are like, yeah, these guys are more expensive. That's why I don't buy. Well, there's just different types of cars, and there's different types of affordability. But it's some of you come to realization that you need that balance of all 3 if you can get it. And again, like I don't have IQ metrics, but it makes me want it because of that little system. And I'm like, oh, he's thinking, how do I build the system, right? But those are the types of things that matter for our business models, right? That we have to consider. I think the second thing is in my model, iPhone 6. I might charge $129 for an iPhone 6. I'm letting you into my little kingdom, so you hear the secrets. But I'm trying to go in the spirit of being honest, right? It's $129 for the iPhone 6 repair in my store. Well, it's like $99. The guy down the street, Apple's like $99. Someone brought that up. But we're faster, we can turn it, we knock it out, we use quality parts, we back it, that's great. And a lot of you guys talk about like your lifetime warranties and value. That's great. I have an in-house warranty called the iSmart Protection. Started 4 years ago in war and survival, falling apart. Shouldn't have built a warranty business while building a repair business, but we're alive and it's okay, and we've learned lots of lessons. I wouldn't suggest all of you to go start all these things tomorrow, but I'm telling you, we failed a lot and now we're still okay. But that warranty product is crucial. It makes it a lot easier to sell the warranty when the price of the repair is economical. I mean, that's the truth. And a lot of you are finding that out now, but 3 years ago, I knew that. And I'm going like, okay, if I can take my price at $129 down to $99 to be competitive, I'll sell them a $79 warranty that comes with unlimited repairs for a year and waterproofing or something else or whatever package that I've innovated or case or no shame to VoiceCom or any of these other companies that sell products because I want to buy from them too. It'll simplify my chaos. But I look at that and I go, that's how you guys are going to make more money. And you know, so on point warranty, the gentleman got up and talked about you can make $25 and $50 and $75 per attached package. I'm going, yes, you can. That's how it works. But you do sacrifice or compromise on other areas. Because if your price comes down on repair, what are you valuing? And we talked about those cross-competing models within each other. Warranties fighting repairs and repairs fighting buy-sell trade and buy-sell trade. And it's like, it doesn't seem like a cohesive ecosystem. I believe you can create that kind of ultimate destination experience and you find where your margins need to be and you just maintain them to fulfill what Tom was saying, to take care of the customer, even if you may not make really any money. So.
Yeah, and I would just, I guess, ditto to everything that you guys said. And then I would just say that how you price your repairs is a direct reflection of how you view yourself and your brand, period. So if you're going to price really cheap, it's a reflection of what you're communicating in terms of who you are, and so if you're going to be the cheap guy that's out there, that's what you're going to be known for. That's what everybody's going to know you for. So we also don't compete to price point. One thing that I would say though, my belief, I was actually on the phone with the franchisee a little while ago in the Mobile market, so it's very competitive. We were specifically speaking about this, and so my personal belief when you're starting a new business, like if you're brand new within the first 12 months, is that as part of building your brand, is that as part of that like acquisition, part of that brand expense, is the goal, the name of the game is do business with as many people as you possibly can. Build as many relationships as you possibly can. And so we have a price matching deal. So for the first 12 months, we price match everything as long as it can be verified, even if it doesn't make any sense, because our goal in mind is the longevity. When customers come into your store, you need to be able to take care of them, especially if you're a new business. Because if they come in and you say, oh no, we're this brand we're up here, and you're new to the market and they don't know your brand, they don't know who you are, they're going to walk out of your store, they're never going to come back, and they're going to tell everybody not to go to you because you're way too expensive. So the goal is trying to do business with as many people at first, but then once you establish your brand, to be able to hold your standard high and price accordingly.
Makes sense.
I think we mistakenly did what you just said, right? Because we underpriced, and then when the market changed and came down, we were overpriced, right? So there was a season where the market shift. You all know the market shifts, right? iPhone 5s will be less and less, and 5Ss, but I was charging $149 all day long, and you all know you can't do that anymore. Well, you can, but it's not going to last, okay? But you see that changes, and you can see that shifting. I think it's super important. Michelle, it just came to my mind. We talked about this, but staying within your brand lanes, right? You guys want to fix all things. You want to be all things to all men for all reasons at all times, and that's amazing, right? And I think that's amazing. Part of that, I see that in You Break, I Fix. I see that in other models. There's nothing wrong with that. CPR, a lot of the franchises are fixing all kinds of things because you can drive revenue. In my model, and honestly, I don't even disagree. I just don't know yet for me, right? We try and focus on some of those key devices that will repair, will protect, will sell on. And so in my stores, I don't have hundreds of cases that are different necessarily. I have kind of one or two, and it's smoke gray or clear. And two people took them off the tables over there, so they're using it. Somebody wanted them, and they were at the table out there. So I'm saying it's good, but I just want you guys to know that sometimes you can fit within your lane, become competent, and then move to other product offerings. And we've seen that because the guys who do it all, they're like, we did $1 million last year. I'm like, that's fantastic. I was really focused, and we did more. Okay, I won't say any numbers, but more. Okay, and there's a lot of good lessons there. Go ahead, Michelle.
No, I was just going to say, so the last pain point I wanted to touch on before we end the day was around consumer awareness. And it's not really a pain point as much as I think it's sort of a uncapitalized opportunity, quite honestly. But how do you actually educate your customers on their repair? And do you actually share diagnostic information with them?
I'm just smiling because I know he perked up because I know it's part of their module. But point of sale systems, a lot of good industry specific point of sales right now will do that along the way. Technicians type in what they're doing. You have private and public notes. You can submit those things. I haven't used all of them, but some of them I see do that. I think we try to be very communicative. We have like a 30 point checklist, and sometimes it's done 30% of the time and it gets us in trouble. But we have a checklist, right? Just like he was saying, all of us do. And so when we onboard a customer, we do it right in front of them in our smart waiver. We use a smart waiver to onboard people, and we make them go through it with the manager that's up front and say, this is working, it's not working, it's all off. So you agree that this thing doesn't work today. Yes, well it did, but it doesn't, right? And we walk through that. And so I think we do communicate that up front, and then if there's an extra part we need to create credibility, we don't become shady and just call them, like, yeah, we need a new battery in this thing. We popped it, right? It's not how it works, but you can get that sense if you're not communicating the whole time.
Right, right.
So, anybody else have thoughts?
And consumer awareness, I think, is a tough one, and there's not a lot of great consumer awareness out there, and so there's no certification programs that are really there industry-wide. That'll definitely help, I think, from that standpoint. And it's trying to educate the customers as they come in that not all repair shops are the same. Not every repair that's done is the same. There's repair shops that are trying to get it done as quick as you can.
Totally agree.
And there may be mistakes that are made, screws that are left out that they think aren't important, or other aspects there. Not all parts are the same. There's cheaper quality parts, there's better parts. And it's just trying to educate that customer. In the absence of consumer awareness from my standpoint in the stores, it was just, what can we do to build rapport and educate that customer so they felt comfortable with us and that we were doing a good job, and then to try to use outside sources like having positive Google reviews and Yelp and different things like that, so that you're not just talking about it, but your customers are talking about it, you can point them in that direction. So it's definitely a challenge that's out there because from a consumer standpoint, at times it's, okay, $69.99, $99.99, well, why should I go there? It's the same thing, right? They're going to fix the broken glass in my phone, but it's not the same.
It's not. And you hit Google, hit Google reviews, and about 3 months ago we decided, look, this is super important. We need to put some energy into this. And so we said to our managers, look guys, you need to be communicating and asking the customer, you have a pre-script and then a postscript. And at the postscript, you need to ask the question, did you have a good experience today? If that's a no, solve it. If it's a yes, then ask them, would you leave a review? Here's money, please do it, or any of that stuff, right? You can give discounts or things if you choose to for promotion. And we went up 250 Google reviews per location. Today I have a 4.8 rating, 250 per store, and that took a month and a half. And you're like, wow, that's great. It's like, guess what it did for the SEO? Fantastic. We went #1 on a bunch of these pages, and you search Apple computer repair. We didn't even do computer repairs. We were #1. I was like, I got to add computers to our list. Like, we just started showing up, right, in Utah. And so that's important, I think, like you said, is brand management, but also making sure that you're educating customers based on your overall brand experience, online, in-store, etc. Sorry.
No. Well, the consumer awareness issue, I mean, it's one thing being in an unregulated industry, no certifications, all that stuff, and it's having guys out there that say, well, my neighbor can fix the phone for you or whatever. Just, I don't know what would be the best way to say, well, if they put the wrong screw in the wrong place, your phone is done, and that's it. There goes your $600 phone. So, that's something that when somebody calls and says, can you install this part, and they don't like your price to install their part or whatever, and you tell them, I tell them, call me when you have it, I'll walk you through it. I don't want you to mess up your phone. It's as far as competition and everything else, our local guy that is my direct competition, he'll call me up at 10 o'clock at night, man, I can't figure out this phone, help me out. It's really I'm all about networking and having relationships with your vendors. I could call Shay right now, I could call anybody from E-Tech, and they will take care of it. I have a smallest little issue immediately because you have a personal relationship with them. You know them. In this room, I can name probably 6 or 7 people that I could call at night or through Facebook, through whatever, and it's because of that relationship. That is huge in any business, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right, absolutely. Anything in the audience in terms of consumer awareness? Well, I want to thank our panel. They are amazing, and thank you so much for contributing to today. And I also want to thank the professionalism of our entire attendees today. You guys have been absolutely amazing. What will happen next is when you leave this room, just outside, we have drinks waiting for you. And on top of 6 tables are 6 topics. If you are an expert in one of those topics, I invite you to stand near that sign. If you want to know more about that topic, I invite you to stand near that sign. This is the think tank portion of the evening, and I want to make sure that we all have an opportunity to pair together so that we can both share and receive based on some topics I think that are really important to all of you. So thank you so much for today. I think it was good fun, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle.